All right, let's get started with our advanced techniques. Now, what you're going to discover is that as you learn the basics, you're just trying to learn how to sound like a duck. Once you get that mastered, you're going to start to get greedy and you're going to want to learn how to sound like all of them. So let's think about ways that we can vary our air presentation and sound like multiple ducks. Now, with the quack, we can do this just by changing the position of the tongue in our mouth. I have heard people say, man, this call sounds flat. And what they're doing is they're blowing the quack with their tongue low in their mouth and they're not putting a lot of air pressure in there, and it would sound like this. All right, they say that sounds flat. It's not really the call. If they would blow a faster burst of air in there, raise their tongue a little bit, it would sound like this. All right, so if I want to sound like a lower pitched duck, I'm going to lower my tongue down and then I'll gradually raise it up so that you can hear the difference. Hear how the pitch comes up as the tongue goes higher? Another thing that I can do is I can change the direction of the call and the speed that I'm blowing the quack and sound like multiple ducks on the water. So it would sound like this. All right, that sounds really good whenever you're hunting early and the light is low, ducks are flying over. Sounds like multiple ducks that are sitting on the water. Another trick that we can do is rather than end the note with a T or K sound, we can just let the note die off, raise our tongue up in the palate to push air forward, and it will make a whining sound. So just imagine if this hand is the top of my mouth, this is the top of my palate, this hand is my tongue. As I blow the quack, I'm just going to raise the tongue up like this to push air forward. All right, so it will sound something like this. As opposed to the shut off with the T or K sound, we're going to put the little whine on there by raising the tongue. Now, another thing we can do is let's just see how soft we can get with the call. This will allow us to sound like multiple ducks, and it'll also help us gain control over the call. Now, when I do this, one little trick that I have is I like to put the tone board at the top of the call, and as you can see in this illustration, as I'm looking into the barrel, the tone board is at the top, the insert is turned so that the reed is down. Now this does two things. To me, this gives me greater control over the call, and it also helps for the call not to stick. So as moisture is going into the call, gravity is pulling it away from the reed, and for guys that have trouble sticking their call, sometimes just turning the call this way and keeping it oriented as you call will really help with that problem. But let's do some quacks. Let's turn the tone board to the top and let's just see how quiet we can be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow air softly from the front of the mouth. It's almost like I'm allowing air to pass around or under the teeth to get just as soft as I can possibly get. So we can mix harder, louder quacks with and this will let us call ducks. As they're getting closer in, we're not going to flare them with volume. We're going to keep them interested with the softer quack.